Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's April 15th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And just a reminder that I'll be taking vacation starting Thursday, so we'll have a regular week through Wednesday, and then that will be it. I'll be leaving town early Thursday morning, so I won't be in at all Thursday. So we'll miss Thursday of this week, and then we'll miss all of the following week, and then I'll be back the following Monday. So just a quick reminder about that. Quick look at today's daily chart. You can see another really big, huge sell-off day, closing almost on the lows. It's been a while since we've had 2 full days of that kind of selling. Something's definitely changed now. You can see we're getting into the over sold territory. My guess is we're probably headed to test this trend line down here. Will we get a break of it? We'll have to see. But my guess is we're at least heading down to test that. We'll have to see where we go from here, but that'd be my guess. We were in this range, so this could constitute a pullback to retest that before we went lower. But it wouldn't surprise me if we don't come back and retest that and maybe try to retest the midline again before we go lower. But we've moved really far down for that, seems like, so we could just continue on down from here. Uh, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. But definitely 2 really bearish days in a row. Really, out of this whole last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trading days, we might have had 2 bullish days, and they were just corrections in a bigger downtrend, obviously. So we'll see where we're going, but something's definitely changed here now. Uh, we were overdue for a correction. We probably need a healthy correction before it goes higher again, even if we're going higher. So this doesn't mean the bull run is over, but I do think we were overdone up here. We just were headed up for way too long and way too high, and so it was time for a correction. So we'll see what tomorrow brings and what the rest of the week brings. But a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. Uh, it's escalating in the Middle East, and now Iran's attacking Israel. So who knows what's going to happen here? We'll just have to see. But there's a lot of negativity out there right now, and that could definitely affect things if that escalates even further. So crazy times we're living in. We'll just have to see what comes. But let's flip over to the intraday chart. Big sell-off day. See what it looks like, and we'll go through the trades and go from there. And here's a look at our 2000 tick chart. You can see we rallied during the overnight, which is usually when they do these things, when the volume's real low. And as soon as the market opened, we turned down and we had a huge sell-off, and then a second leg down, and then another correction, and we just continued to go lower and lower and lower all the way down here. And this has kind of moved on me here, I do believe. How did I have that? I think I did have that originally like that, and we had a break. This is more sideways here. It looked like it was going to be moving down, but it turns out it's a little more sideways right in there, and you can kind of see that right there. Let's go ahead and add that to it. And then if you add your measured move to that, you can see it puts us right down there where we tried to bounce. We went a little lower than that and we got back in, and we ended up closing lower than that. So this is really kind of more choppy, but we're still continuing to push lower each time, make lower lows there. So didn't rally it today. It's one of those days it almost closed on its low. It's been a while since that's happened. They usually try to rally this thing back, but not today. But let's zoom in here. You had to be a little patient this morning because you didn't get a lot of chances early on. You had this news, and this news has probably had a lot to do with it. We had this the retail sales, and they were way up, which tends to mean that inflation's, even with the higher inflation, people are, according to this, retail sales are still really high. Who knows if these numbers are accurate, but that portends that we're probably not going to see any rate cuts because the markets, things are still accelerating out there and they can't cut rates while all that's going on. So anyway, the news came out. It rallied on that news, and then we just kind of worked sideways before the big sell-off started. It started around 9 o'clock. It was all downhill from there. And so there wasn't a lot going on that you could trade here early on. You couldn't trade till after, I would say, this bar here, which was around 7:40, about 10 minutes after the news. And we're working down here. You did have a close outside and a new low, and then a higher low here, and still plenty of room to get out. So I kind of like that trade. I marked it green because we're off the midline here, and we just come off the highs, but that's a really strong move up. The odds are we're going to retest that high, and you can see we did that several times before we went lower. So anyway, I like that trade. I did mark it green. I think it's a little aggressive, but if you understand what's going on there, there's probably a high likelihood it's going higher. It's just not a sure thing, especially when it didn't break higher on this bar and it turned into an inside bar. That's the reason I really made it green. If it would have broke on higher and went higher, maybe you make that blue, but it didn't. So you have to be a little concerned about that. But we did run up to a new high, and you actually get a triple test here. I didn't mark this because this was really strong. I'm not sure if there's even enough room to get out there. Yeah, it looks like there is. I didn't mark that just because it was so strong, and we did just come off the midline. We could have made another push up, but you could take that trade. I probably should at least make that green. You don't want to take this one because it could flip, it could reverse on you, which it does. You expect it's going to fail, even if only momentarily, but you don't know in this big uptrend that it's not going to go higher. Now we did have a break in a new high here too, but that's not a super convincing break, and that's during the overnight. And sometimes it'll catch the trend line and continue on, and that break won't amount to anything. So you got to be careful with that one. But we end up getting a two-leg correction and another break outside, and it tried to go higher, and it just found too much resistance up here. And you can see here we tried to go higher once, twice, 3 times, and you can see that resistance. Fairly decent bar. It's not a perfect bar, but I think it closes in its lower 2/3. So I like going short there. That turns out to be a pretty nice move, and then it bounces down here, so it just looks like we're in this bigger pink range. This one is tempting, but we're still in this channel here, and and you can see it still closed inside. If it closed outside and maybe tried to go lower and failed and made a higher low, then maybe you go long. But I'm a little leery of going long right there. It's a little risky. And then we're just kind of chopping along here. We do get a triple test here, but not enough room. And this one, we're bouncing off the lows, but we've only really tested that twice, and this is not rejection here. The next bar is, but then it's really too late to enter. Another bearish bar here, but not room to get out, and we haven't closed outside here yet, so I'm not crazy about it either. And then this one looks too congested. It's a lower high, but we didn't even make it back here. I think you just have to sit tight, and unfortunately you don't get a chance to enter this, and it just takes off. Boom. And then you get a two-legged correction with a second entry short. Definitely go short right there that far away from the EMA after this, because you're going to retest this low most likely, and we're probably with 2 clear legs like that going to get a measured leg. So I like that one. That turns out to be a nice entry. Just the first entry there. There is a second entry right here, but that looks a little congested, and the midline, you may have a midline there. Most of you probably would not have found this channel yet. It's a little difficult to find without a little more price action until you make this next swing. But then again, you make another new low there, and you get a first entry, second entry. And you got a double top here. So another second entry, and we haven't made a new low here yet, so you're still expecting that. So that's another nice move down. That's just a first entry, and then another bottom. Now first entry, second entry, but that signal bar doesn't qualify, so no entry there. And we're not quite back to the trend line yet. But notice we suddenly come back, and now you get a triple test here with a nice signal bar. It looks like we get a close outside. It's hard to know. It's not convincing, but maybe there's still a close outside there. And but either way, I like the triple test and going short there. And then you get a little second entry short here. You're limited on your room here, but I still like that. This is a strong downtrend, and we're looking for this measured move, and maybe even to fill the come back and fill the gap. I didn't talk about that, but we opened up here, and this is where we closed last Friday. So there's a big gap. So you got to figure prices are attempting to fill that gap here, and so that would be your first target, and then the measured move would be the next one. You get another second entry here, but it doesn't trigger. You get another inside bar. I don't think I would go short right there anyway with this channel in play. And you can see we tested that multiple times. We don't quite have a triple test yet here, and when we do, the signal bar is not good enough, and we ended up reversing here. So it looks like we did have a break outside the new low. And this runs up. You got this green channel working up. You get a break here pretty quick. There's a second entry here, but this is the signal bar. It's not good enough. There's a higher low here. This bar is not good enough, but because they're matching lows, you could use this one, and I just feel like that bar is too big and you move too far. You may still make, I mean, it's 20 ticks. You probably will still attempt to make a high here, but that looks a little congested too, so I'm just a little wary of that entry. I mean, you could argue for it to be green. And then, of course, we're just chopping sideways here. Again, I meant to make that green. Or, I'm sorry, pink. I usually just make the sideways stuff pink just for consistency. And we do get a triple test, but I don't think you have enough room there. And then a lower high. This one actually broke higher and turned down, and that's a big bullish bar. I'd probably wait for this to close to make sure it closes outside the channel. When it does, I like going short there. You're going to probably get it. You don't know that it's going to do this, but you're looking for prices to go lower, and this is obviously played out on the green, and we still haven't met this target or this target. You don't know that it's going to go straight down there, but I like that setup. Then of course you make a lower high here, but you can't enter. None of these are. We're just working on the retest of the low and trying to meet these targets. And of course, then we drop into this and easily get a triple test here. Closes back inside, plenty of room. I like that one. It bounces, not enough room to get out, so you can't go long there. And then we're headed lower again, but there's no real setup here. This one is tempting, but it's an inside bar. It doesn't make an equal low, or the high might be an equal. Let me look at that. 51.56. I don't think it is though. So that's 56 and a quarter. And you do close outside, but that looks really congested. I just think that's too dangerous. But by now it's obvious that we're in a very strong downtrend. So if you get another one of these tight channels, that just pretty much set the trend line. So every time you come back to that trend line now and get a decent signal bar, I would say probably enter. Now I marked all these green, but I like entering on. There's the first one, and that is a little second entry. It's congested, but this thing is bearish. That one's even tempting with it only being, well, it's 9 ticks. It looks real small, but it's actually bigger than you think it is because some of these bars are bigger today. But here's another one where it broke higher. Don't enter on the engulfing. Wait till it closes. Make sure it closes bearish. It does. And that was the last signal bar till we got a break here. So I like those two. And again, that's more advanced. Make sure you understand that. That's not for everybody. You need to be a good chart reader. You need to probably be profitable. And you need to really understand what's going on here. We do bounce here. We're working up, close outside, new high, and you get another second entry. This is basically a double bottom. So first entry, second entry. It is a little failed breakout, but with you getting a close outside that channel, new high, And this being a second entry short, really you don't really have the channel here yet. It doesn't really form till later. So I don't think you have to worry about it. You're just playing that little correction there. And you would expect this to make a new low on a retest. You get a lower high here, but then another lower high here, and that's really bearish. I like going short there. Bounces, comes back. Even this one is like 7 ticks. It's not very bearish, but it's still tempting. It's a second entry short, right at the key entry point, a little ways away from the EMA. You know, I almost want to make it green. I will, I guess. And then we're just headed lower. There's a lower high here. That looks a little too congested, and then by the time you get here, you're too close to the lows. It ends up going lower and then bouncing. No longs there. Again, you get 2 legs up, and this is actually a second entry here, but the signal bar is not good enough. We do come back here, and this moved a long way, but it came back, so it's not that far from here to here. Maybe you treat that like a lower high, and it is off the trend line. We did get a break here, and it's coming back and testing the trend line. You got the midline there, plus the trend line. There's plenty of room. We're probably going to try to make a new low on this channel here as well, and so this one ends up taking off. There's another lower high here, but I don't think you can go short there. And then we kind of bottom out down here. There is a triple test right here, but I think you need to wait on the higher low, which comes here. Now, I didn't mark this one because it closes right into the EMA there, and it could be that we're in somewhat of a channel here. You can see the resistance across right there, and then the support across the bottom. But you could have traded this on the engulfing bar. That's so bearish that maybe you trade that on a triple test and a higher low there and a second entry, because that's a new high, first entry, second entry. So that's another one you might trade. And then you get another higher low here, but the signal bar is no good. And now we're back in the channel again. But notice this green working up. You get a close outside, 2 legs to a new high. And this actually broke higher and turned down. I wouldn't trade that on the engulfing bar. That doesn't have enough body. But that's so bearish, I still think you can go short there. The lower high here, but the signal bar is no good. And then again, we're working lower here. There is somewhat of a trend line here that you might consider again taking any bearish bar off of it. So that's a possibility right there to go short. Again, that's aggressive. But that's also, you can see it's a failed second entry long. It's probably going to trap people in a big downtrend like this, people trying to get long. There's another second entry here. That's the first break of this channel, but this is a retest, and usually you don't always get a retest on the retest. But you can see the lower channel kind of comes back. I definitely wouldn't go on the second entry there. But when we try to go higher 2 more times and that trend line's still holding, you get that bearish bar, I like going short there because you're going to retest that low most likely. Too congested here. Breakout, but that's again too congested. Lower high here, but I just don't think it's a good enough signal bar. Runs on down, comes back, close outside, new high. And you can see the trend line just kind of starts holding again, but I don't see any setups there you can take, and that takes us into 230. So there it is, big bearish day. Something's changed here. The market spooked. The buying is at least dried up for the last few days, the last week or so, really. So we'll see what happens tomorrow if we continue to sell off here. You know, I'm not ready to say that we're going to have a crash or anything like that. Now, if they start dropping bombs all over and we get in World War III, then, you know, anything's game. But with this being an election year, I'm still not ready to say they're going to let this market sell off too much. Yeah, they probably have to let it correct at some point, but at some point they're going to start coming back in and manipulating everything again. So we'll see. We'll just have to watch it. we'll see if, you know, it may be so out of control they can't control it now. They can't manipulate it. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's how I saw it today. Most of this is just choppy, having to play sideways stuff. Even though you have a little bit of a trend line, in here. You had that break early and a move to a new low, but it's like it came back into play again. So, and it's definitely got a little bit of a downward bias, even though it's a lot of sideways stuff. So you just have to look at it both ways. However you played it, it's probably okay. And there might even be something bigger there that from up here that continues for the whole day. But this is how you really need to zone in here and play at a much smaller level. But I'm sure there's probably a bigger channel in here too, somewhere in there like that. But again, it doesn't really come into play that much. So anyway, not much else I can say about today. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Again, it's going to be a short week because of my upcoming vacation. I'm going to take a Thursday and Friday off this week, and then I'll take all of the following week off, and then I'll be back, I believe, Monday the 30th or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.